Hi there, it's time for some Smartdoll crochet. I know you don't normally see my face this way, but I wanted to show you Mirai in her little crochet jacket here. Now, this is my first girl. This is the girl that I actually got a chance to build in Japan, which was amazing. And that is why she has blue eyes, as you can see, because I was allowed to choose what colour eyes I wanted, and most Mirais have brown eyes, but I chose the blue. This isn't her original wig though. This is one I've swapped over from one of the others. But this is the little jacket. It's just a little shrug, really. Just a nice, simple little shrug. Let me move her hair out of the way so you can see. Can you see the back of it there? So I think this is something that anybody could make. I think a beginner could make this quite easily. Obviously, lots of different colours you could do it in. It suits anything. Look great with jeans. And this little sort of turn up here on the collar. So this is what we're going to be making today. As I said, I think a beginner could do it easily. Just take your time if you are a beginner. And don't forget, if you're watching these videos, you can slow them down. I know I am fast at crochet. I do try and slow myself down. But sometimes that's difficult because you don't know what level you're working at. Some people are really quick. I have a lot of people say that yeah, they can work along with me, which is fabulous. There are some that are probably a lot faster than me. And obviously if you've got a beginner, they're going to be that little bit slower. But with practice, you do get faster. Trust me on that one. It's just pure crochet, 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 and you will get better and you will get faster. But if you find it a little bit too fast, stop, pause. That's one way of doing it. Or you can just slow me down in the settings. The only problem there is it slows the speech down as well, so I do sound a little bit weird. But most of these rows on this one, if you get what I'm saying on the first row, basically I'll tell you to do X amount of those rows. You don't even really need to watch me at that point. You can pause it and just wait till I get to the next bit, and then I can show you what to do next. So it doesn't really matter what level you're at. We can all have a go, and that is the beauty of crochet. It is suitable for everybody. If you are a complete beginner, you've never ever crocheted, pop onto, I've got some basic crochet videos, or there's lots and lots of other tutorials out there that will give you crochet basics. Have a look, have a practice. Make sure you're confident with the stitch before you sort of move on to making anything. But like I say, I'm quite confident that most of you will have no problem, and some of you are going to find it quite easy as well. So less of me talking. We're now going to go top down so you can watch me actually make this little jacket for Mirai. And obviously it fits Smartdoll, yes, but it will fit most dolls of this 1/3 scale. So you can sort of manipulate it about. If you do it in a finer yarn, it will fit a smaller doll as well. So it's a case of playing around with it really. So I'm just going to push my glasses on because they're determined to fall down my nose, and I will see you in a second to finish the video. Hi, good morning. We're going to be doing a little Smartdoll piece of clothing today. I have my Mirai here. Obviously you've just seen the intro, so you'll see a little bit of how it looks. Basically it's a little shrug cardigan. In fact, I'm going to take her wig off, it's easier for you to see. I'll put your arm down, missus. And this is what the back looks like. So it's a nice simple design. It is quick. It is done in a double knit yarn, which I've got here, so it's quite a comfortable yarn to work in. And it is also done with a 3mm crochet hook, so it's in between sorts of sizes there. So we have a little edge here for the collar, just to sort of give it that little bit of something else. You could make it with longer sleeves. I decided to sort of work at the sleeves at this height because it's more of a shrug, and I wanted it to go with this little dress. So I'm going to pinch this off her now, so I'm going to have to take it off you, Mirai, because we need a comparison for while we're working. It slips over our hands nicely as well. So I'm going to move you out of the way, missus, and this is basically it. It is just a tube, which most shrugs are. If you go online to have a look at shrugs for people, you will see this is all there is to the structure. So this is what we're going to work on. So let's get going. Let's get going. We're going to pop our needle and scissors out of the way. As I say, this is a double knit yarn. The first thing we're going to do is 45 chain. So bear with me while I do that. So we need our slip knot onto the hook, do the yarn a little bit, and we have 45 chain. 1, 2, 3, 4. Keep moving the finger up. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So we're almost halfway. Keep it nice and flat. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29 and 30. We've only got 15 more to go. 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39 and 40. Our last 5. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So as you can see, that is just the length, because this bit's added on afterwards, that is just the length of that bit that's in the middle there. Now your chain is important. A nice flat chain is good. Can't emphasize enough how much it is good to sort of practice getting your chain. Make sure that's not blurry. Is that blurry? I have noticed with this new camera it sort of fluctuates quite easily, so if I go a little bit too close it goes funny, if I go too far away it changes again. So I'm trying to keep sort of consistently in the center there. Now I'm going to basically tell you, I mean this is the foundation row so it's a little bit different, but basically every row is going to be the same. As you can see, it just repeats the pattern throughout. I did mention I think a beginner could do this. I do genuinely, if I put the wall to the other side, I genuinely believe a beginner is quite comfortable doing this, but just take your time, there's no rush. So we're going to need a chain to start this. Now these, I'm just checking what I have done, these are trebles. So if it's a treble we want 3 chain, 1, 2 and 3. Now that 1, 2 and 3 is your first stitch, but now we need to act as if we're missing one, so we're going to the 4th, so it's actually the 5th stitch that we're going to go in here, and it's going to be a treble. So yarn round into that 5th stitch, pull it through 1, we have 3 on the hook, which is good. We pull through 2 and we pull through 2. So that is our first treble, miss 1, treble. We're going to do a chain, okay? We're going to miss 1, and into the next one we're going to do a treble. We're going to do a chain. We're going to miss 1. Next one we do a treble. There we go. We do a chain, so there's a chain after every treble. I must admit I did miss a chain there, didn't I? Naughty me, try and remember to do a chain. It's not going to make any difference to the finished product. We're going to miss 1. Into the next one we're going to do a treble. We do a chain. We miss 1. We do a treble. We do a chain. So we're going to do that all the way along, so I'm just going to carry on doing that. I'm not going to sort of describe every stitch to you, so I might be chattering as well, but for your own benefit, basically you're going to do a treble, you're going to do a chain, you're going to miss a stitch, you do a treble into the next one, and we repeat that through. So yarn round, miss 1, into the next one. If you need to sort of pause me and get on with what you're doing, or if you want to slow me down, by all means, I'm just going to sort of carry on doing the actual stitch. I'll sort of try and keep it at sort of a midway speed at this point, so hopefully I'm not too quick for you. I hate doing the foundation row. It's always the worst row because I hate working into a chain, because you do have to make sure you get it sort of nice and neat and nice and flat, otherwise it does affect the finish of your work. And that's my miss 1 into that one. So we're about halfway through now. Chain, don't forget that chain, it will make a difference, because otherwise the work will pull together. The chain is important. This one into this one. Just checking that I'm staying in the center there. I seem to be. It's not always easy. This yarn I picked out for the colour, it does split though every now and again. It's one I got in a sort of, I did a
was like a goodie bag, sort of, you know, you paid so much and you got a mixed amount of yarn, which was great. It was really quite exciting. That's sad and terrible. Is this wool obsession, which I'm sure most of you have got if you're crocheters or knitters. But yes, I got excited about a box of wool turning up because I didn't know what was in it, apart from I knew they were double knit. And this is one of them, and I absolutely love the colour, but it does have a tendency to split. But if you take your time, you will find that that splitting won't happen. It's just making sure you get into your stitches and pull your hooks through nice and clean. We're almost at the end now. Look, can you see that split a bit? So I'm going to take that one out and I'm going to do it again. There we go. So each time I'm missing one and then I'm going into the next one. So I'm missing one and going into the next one. Now I just want to point out here, can you see if I missed one and I went into that one, I've still got another stitch. Now that could be because perhaps I did one too many stitches. That does happen, but at this point you can get away with it. It doesn't matter. Also, what I'm going to actually do is I'm going to miss two there. Bit naughty, but I need to be in that end one. It happens quite often, this, and then just tying it up. You can't really tell, can you? So basically you've got like a little ladder of crochet stitches, and that is our foundation row. We are now going to do the same rows for, I'm just checking how many rows I put. I've written 12 there. I did 10. I did 10. It's 12 rows in total, perhaps. Right, so I did 10 more rows similar to this. So I'm going to show you that row. Then I will just get on with it. And then I'm sure that you'll either sort of stop or pause or just fast forward while you do your 10 of the same rows. Now, I'm going to start with 4 chain. 1, 2, can you see it split there? There we go. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Then I turn my work. You can turn your work first if you want. Everybody has a different way of doing it. I've done 4 because I want it to count as a treble plus 1. Because that 1 is the chain that's in between. That's what I should have done at the beginning of the first one. So it's 4 chain because it counts as 1 treble, 1 chain. And then we're going to work in the top of this post. So the stitch that's here, and it's going to be a treble. Yarn round. Remember, I'm using UK terms as well. And we do a treble. We do a chain. We go into the next one, top of the next treble, and we do a treble. So it's a chain, top of the next treble with a treble. So over every single treble, there's going to be another treble with a chain in between it. As I say, there's a good chance now that you don't really need to see me do the next bit. So I'm going to speed up a little bit. This is our row 1 of 10. And you're going to do 10 rows exactly the same as we are doing on this one. But now we can see sort of quite clearly where we're going. It's not so bad. At least that's one thing with trebles, they're really easy to see. This is a bit of a chunky cardigan, perhaps for a Smartdoll, but like with people, we wear chunky ones. So it's the equivalent to having a little chunky sort of shrug there. Can be done in a finer yarn. Obviously, you will need more stitches to start with, but you can follow exactly the same pattern apart from that. But obviously, we've only got 45 stitches here. I think if you went down to a 4-ply, we might be looking at about 50 stitches. This is guessing, mind you, would have to sort of try and work that out. And if you went finer again, you would probably be looking at anything up to sort of 60-65 stitches. And also that does very much depend on your tension. Almost there. And into the top of that original chain. Okay, so now you can see what we've got. Now that was row 1, so I'm going to mark it down there. I'm going to be organized for once, and we need 9 more rows exactly the same. So I am going to speed up now, so if you want to pause me and carry on with your 9, by all means, or whichever way works for you, it doesn't matter, however it works for you. So 4, 1 2 3 and 4, equivalent to 1 treble, 1 chain, turn the work, 1 treble in the top of the treble, 1 chain, 1 treble in the top of the treble, 1 chain. I sort of when I'm doing patterns, I sort of almost do it like a little mantra. So again, I would go 1 treble in the top of the treble, 1 chain, and that is all I'm going to do all the way along. 1 treble in the top of the treble, 1 chain, so I'll remember. Now when you get to this point, it does move faster anyway. Obviously that foundation row is always the worst one, and it always takes longer. Now if you are a beginner that did skip the first bit when I was talking about slowing down, don't forget you can slow me down, but to be honest, I think the easiest one would be just to pause me and you do your 10 rows like this. So 1 treble in the top of the treble, 1 chain, 1 treble in the top of the treble, 1 chain, and off we go. Oh, can you see that split? Watch. You do have to be careful if you try and go too fast. Right, now look what I've done here. Now this is something you need to watch, and it doesn't matter. If you make a mistake, you can take it out. But because I was talking, I went 1 treble, 1 treble. There's no chain there, but you can see how it sort of V'd itself a little bit. So I know I've done it wrong, so I will just undo it back to that last treble and do a chain, and off we go again. I do believe it's important to see that other people do make mistakes as well. I constantly make mistakes. You know, it's just part of it. It's part of learning. So off we go again. One chain, last one. Remember this was 4 chains, so we have to go for approximately the top of the 3rd one, otherwise you won't get that chain in between. So we can now see where it's going. So that is another row for me, so you can see. Don't worry, it does stretch a little bit. That's again, this is an acrylic yarn, so it's got quite a nice stretch. If you're doing it in a cotton doesn't stretch quite as well. So 4, 1 2, it's split, take it out. You can carry on when it splits, but it does make your work look messy. 1 2 3 and 4, and turn, top of the first treble and chain, top of the next treble and chain. If there's anybody still crocheting along with me rather than fast forwarding, you know, I'm going to keep chuntering away. I might be talking to myself completely, so if I'm not talking to myself, give me a hello. So again, it's all just exactly the same, no different. Just 1 treble in the top of the treble, 1 chain. That is it. And just go to the next treble. As I say, I do like this yarn. I think I want to do a hat in it next, because I've been thinking about making a hat to match. So it's like a nice chunky winter hat. I know we're not exactly in winter. Well, we're not hitting in winter here in the UK, although some days you wouldn't believe we weren't in winter, or maybe autumn. We've had an awful lot of rain recently, which is great for the plants. It is important, but it has made everything feel a little bit damp and miserable. So I think here in the UK you can have cardigans or shrugs or jackets and things all year. So I think this is suitable for any time of the year. Remember, that is 4, so it's the equivalent to the top of the 3. And off we go. So that's another one. So that is our 3 rounds. So you can see it developing nicely now. 4 chain, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and turn. And off we go again. I had considered doing a full piece ready for you on this one, but then I thought, no, we'll do it in real time. Let's see what happens. So I haven't actually timed myself at all for making this, but I'm pretty sure it's not going to take too long. If you do make one of these, please sort of tag me in Instagram or however you do it, whichever social media you might use. Or if you don't want to use social media, just send me a little message on Octopudding and show me what you've done. It is nice to see that people have actually made items that I've either made a pattern for or I've done on YouTube. I do love it. It's a real nice sort of feeling to know that somebody else likes what you've done. Oh, nearly splitting. There we go. Yeah, it has. It is splitting quite a bit. Just in case of just getting into the right place and making sure you catch the hook completely. Because sort of like there, can you see it's sort of quite a loose, sort of a loose weave, and that is the problem when you get yarns that split. So you do need to make sure when you're grabbing it, you are getting it all, because if you get a partial weight, it will split on you. Chain, nearly forgot the chain. Almost at the end there. Don't forget the chain before that last one, and top of the equivalent to 3. It's as near as, damn it, sometimes you are slightly off with that, but it doesn't matter. The beauty of crochet, you can actually bodge quite a bit and nobody can tell. 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and turn. This is row number 5, which means we are halfway through. I mean, this is obviously the part that takes the longest. As soon as sort of you sew part of it up, it's just a case of going around the sleeve edges and going around the neck edge, and that is it. There's not that much more to it. There seem to be a lot of sirens. I don't know whether you can hear them. There's been a lot of sirens go past at the moment. I hope it's nothing serious. I swear it's extra noisy out there. I'm never sure whether it will pick it up or not. In fact, let me just move my microphone slightly. My camera might jiggle a little bit there. Most of the time it's quite good. It's only a little sort of plug-in microphone I've got on my phone. But most of the time it does sort of block out any of the sort of chatter or the cars that go past and things like that, because we do live on a main road. So unfortunately you do get a lot of cars going past, so it can get a little bit noisy, but the microphone's quite good. I find it easier to work as it gets longer because it sort of like just hangs. You see how it's just sort of hanging, so I'm not having to hold it so much. It's sort of not curling back on itself or anything like that. Right into the top of that 3, that is our number 5. So we can see we're about halfway. Yeah. Then 1, 2, 3, and 4 on turn. And off with number 6, which is going to take us over halfway. I did originally make the cardigan in a variegated, which was quite nice, but I didn't think it was very easy as a visual when it was in the variegated. That's why I didn't do the video in a variegated yarn. And the beauty of using a plain yarn anyway is it goes with anything. As much as I like variegated, it is limited. Like, for example, Mariah has this very sort of fancy dress that I got from Bella's Doll Clothes, and it's got so many different colours. Look at those pussycats, they're so cute. So there's so many colours in it, you can't really sort of be putting a variegated with it. So I thought this plain colour went nice. It sort of almost picks out towards the teal of some of the cats there. So keep going. Now we're going to have 2 jackets now, Mariah, so I don't know who's going to get this second one. I think it would look good with a pair of jeans and a plain t-shirt, something like that. Who have we got in a pair of jeans? Nobody. In fact, none of them have got jeans on at the moment. We may have to do a little bit of clothes swapping today. So this is row 6, as I mentioned. Hope you're not getting too bored watching me do this. As I do suspect most of you have just paused me anyway. Oh, got a split. Take it out. Do it again. So that's my row 6, mark it off. I still want to say round because I do so much amigurumi. I'm always trying to say round. It's not, it's a row, say row. Right, so that was 6. So we're on to 7 now. 1, 2, 3 and 4 and turn. It's like doing a little dance step, isn't it? Now this is a pattern system. It makes great scarves. I mean, not just for the doll. If you were making yourself a scarf, I think I would go wider than that. But you could do that and just follow exactly this pattern and you would have a scarf. It's just very versatile. If you want to make yourself a full-size shrug, you could do. But basically you need to sort of take the measurement of the length of your arms and across your back to a point where you feel you would want the sleeve to end. I mean, you can add on with that and make the sleeve longer if you wanted to. And that's all you need to do. Measure across. And then obviously it's working out how many rows you would need. If you sort of look at that width that you want there, you could do the same for yourself as well as the doll. You could have matching ones with the doll. Something I don't really do is make items for myself, not garments anyway. I make loads of scarves. I'm always making scarves and things like that, and gloves and bits and bobs. But yeah, never really made an outfit. I just use the excuse it would take too much yarn, so I don't do it. One day, perhaps. Right, we're towards the end of this row, which is row 7. You can see it's all building up nicely now. You will need a good wool needle for some of the sewing up. Oh, another split. I think it's harder when you're going into a chain rather than an actual stitch. So that is 7. We're nearly there. 1, 2, 3, 4 and turn. And off we go. So just it's 1 treble in the top of each treble, 1 chain. 1 treble, 1 chain. I mean, you'll know instantly when you're going wrong because obviously you can see that each stitch is sitting on top of the other one. So if you either miss one or you do too many chains or you go in a different space, you'll see where you've gone wrong. So it's quite easy to sort of rectify. So this is our 8th row. And then there's only 2 more after that. And I can start showing you how to structure the actual shrug. I will pop a pattern out for this on my website as well. I know if you like myself, you like the patterns as well as this sort of visual. I know not everybody reads patterns, and that is why sort of this works out so well, because if you're not a sort of pattern follower, or you just don't like the way the patterns are, or because you can get patterns from different countries, obviously different terminologies, things like that, it's sometimes easier to watch somebody physically do it and do it that way. But as I say, I know I like to sort of collect my patterns of things I've made, even my own. I always make sure I print them off and keep a set as well. I think I just like collecting patterns. I think I just like collecting. Right top of where that 3 would be. Ta-da! That is row number 8. We have just 2 more rows to go. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 10. Top of the first treble. Because remember that 4 counted as 1 treble and 1 chain. 1 chain. Top of the treble, 1 chain. The treble, 1 chain. It's quite a nice sort of mesh effect, I think, this sort of patterning. It's nice and simple. As I said, that's why I'm pretty sure even a beginner can do this, as long as you're happy with the treble stitch. If you're not sure, go and have a pop on some of the videos. I know I haven't got one that's got 10, I think it's got some of the basics on mine, but there are loads and loads of different videos out there for basic techniques, as well as what the ones I've popped on there. I love treble stitches. They are so versatile. You can create so many other stitches from a treble. In fact, to be honest with crochet, that is basically it. You've got X amount of basic stitches, and it's the combinations of each of those basic stitches that will give you various different patterns and textures as well. Last stitch on this set. We now have 9. Our last row. 4 chain. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and turn. So it definitely sounds like I'm doing some sort of dance routine. One treble in each treble, 1 chain. When I do the next set, or the next section, I am only going to do sort of one side of the sleeve, so don't worry, you don't have to watch too much more of that. Almost halfway on this row, and then we can say we are ready. Now I am actually going to change the pattern slightly from what I did here. I'll tell you why when I get to it, and it's completely optional. You don't have to do what I'm going to change this one to. I will give you the 2 options. Last few stitches coming up. Last stitch. And we're going to fasten off. So if I get my scissors off my magnet and just fasten off. So that is basically your shrug, but it's about the folding of it and the positioning next. So we're just going to fold it here. Now what I then did is I stitched in X amount of distance, and I did that by saying hole. So I went 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, so I went right up to that 5th hole. I think that made it more of a sleeve, which I didn't want so much of a sleeve, so this time I'm only going to take it to the 4th. That is up to you. And there's a little bit of thread there I've missed cutting off, haven't I? There we go, it's gone now. So decide which is your right and wrong side. That to me is the right side. Can you see how you get a sort of slight curl of the chain there? That to me is the wrong side. So I know different people will say different sort of which is which. So I'm just going to fold it in half. I need to make sure that all the holes are going to line up. Now, unfortunately, perhaps if I'd done one more row, that would have been at that end, so I could have used that for sewing up. As it turns out, it's not, so I'm going to have to add a piece of yarn for sewing up. So let's just get this one done first. So I'm just going to use one of these, doesn't matter which, so I need to turn my work over. And all I'm going to do by using this is just a little sort of over stitch, whip stitch, whatever you want to call it. Let me pop it there so you can see it. I'm just picking up the 2 sides. You could sew that, you could sort of crochet that in at the same time, or sew that in, should I say. So I'm just picking it up, little whip stitch. I'm counting holes, aren't I? So look, can you see how they're lined up? So I'm saying 1, 2, 3 and 4. So I'm going to go to the end of the 4th one. So that's the end of 3. Couple more. 1 and 1. Let's have a look. 1, 2, 3 and 4. I'd say I'm there. And then I'm just going to do a little knot. And because I don't want that end, so I'll just flatten that out there, I'm just going to thread through all the way through, making sure it's not coming through the other side. And I can cut that one off. Don't cut that one off yet, because it's going to come undone if you do. So I can get rid of that one. And now I need to do the other side as well. So because I didn't have a piece of yarn at the other end, I'm just going to take another piece of yarn here, cut it off, thread it onto my needle. Now the way I do this, you may have a different way of doing it. Basically, I'll take the very end point where I'm going to be working, I'll take it through, I'll make a knot. Means you've got an extra end, but it's better that you tie the ends in like that. So line the holes up again, little whip stitch. So you could have sewn that end in as you go, or you can use it on the next bit that I'm going to do. About 4, I think it is, isn't it? 1, 2, 3. This is the 4th, so another stitch after this one. Make sure you don't pull it too tight. Occasionally, just give it a little stretch. Make sure that's nice and tight. I'm just flattening it down a little bit, and I'm just going to run my needle back down, because I'm making sure it's not coming out the other side, because you don't want that either. Make sure it's right, and we can cut that one off. Now the next bit, we need to turn it the other way, so we need right sides out. So there we go, we have our right sides out, so you can see we have our little shrug going. Now, as I say, I'm going to show you one end. Obviously, the other sleeve is going to be exactly the same. So we need our yarn back in. I'll move that out of the way. And I'm going to start at center point with my hook. In it goes. Get my yarn ready on my hand. And I'm going to do a double crochet round all the way, but because you can see obviously they're sort of like trebles or chains along there, I'm just going to go into this space and I'm going to do 2 double crochets in each, but the first one isn't in a space, it's where we've joined it, so it takes a little bit of a fiddle. There we go. So straight into the hole, and I'm going to do 2 double crochets. If you'd wanted, you could actually, as I say, crochet that in, but I'm not going to complicate matters. I'll just sew it in at the end. So it's 2 double crochets into each space. Just into the space, don't worry about trying to find stitches or anything like that, just straight into the space. It will start to sort of tighten it up a little bit. We're almost round. I think my stitch is split there. You see that? That's not good. So let's undo it. I don't want that bit hanging down there because that looks a little bit unsightly. 1, 2, 1, 2. We're almost there. That's 1 there. It's a bit hard to see that one, but this is another one. Now remember, I actually started. That's the bit where I threaded through. I didn't trim it properly. Oh, there we go. Careful when you're trimming, because I nearly cut the actual piece then. Right, so now you can see where we started is here. Okay, so I'm just going to go into that one there, and I'm going to do another round of just 1 double crochet into each stitch. You don't need a stitch marker because obviously it's where it joins. So off we go, 1 more round of just 1 double crochet into each stitch. Well, it's 1 double crochet into each double crochet now, so it's a bit easier to see. Almost round. Now, if you don't want to sort of decrease on the cuff, you can just sort of leave it as a wide sleeve. You would just carry on going round with these stitches. You just do as many rounds of 1 double crochet in each double crochet that you would want till it hits the length. I'm actually going to decrease this just very slightly, and by doing that I'm going to do double crochet, miss 1. Yeah, then I would repeat that through. So this is going to be my decrease round. So I'm going to go double crochet, miss a stitch, next one, double crochet, miss a stitch, next one, double crochet, miss 1, double crochet, miss 1, again double crochet. Let me check what I did there with the miss 1. So we got, look at that, I got it wrong myself. Take it out and behave. Right, so that was my 2 double crochets there. At least you can tell where you've missed one. So we miss 1 and then we go into that. I had actually done it right, and you can tell when you've been in a stitch because it stretches it. Miss 1, 1, 2, miss 1, 1, 2, miss 1, 1, 2. So I'm going to say I'm round now, which I am. So it's just pulled it in very fractionally. So I think I'll do just 1 more round. You can do 1, you can do 2, it's up to you. It just edges it. I think after you've done a decrease round, although that was a miss stitch, it's still a decrease round. I think it's best to sort of just do a double crochet round just to edge it, so it doesn't look too lumpy or anything like that, which it can do if you're not careful. Right, 1 more stitch, and my last one is going to be a slip stitch, just because I personally think it neatens it, and my needle, this is how good my magnet is. It magnetizes everything else as well, which at least if you don't lose things, but it gets a bit annoying when things are sticking to each other. So we have a few ends there to sew in, fair enough, but that's not a big deal. But can you see how it's sort of pulled it in a little bit? So I'm not going to do the other end because it's exactly the same, but we are going to go round this neck edge. So I'm going to start at this end, and again starting where it's going to be a join, So I'll just put my hook in ready, get my yarn ready, and it's going to be a 1 double crochet all the way round. Now remember, these are slightly odd stitches because one end would have been where your chain was, and the other end is where we've finished with those double crochets, with those trebles and chains. But we do need to try and get in the chain for this because I think it does make it look a bit neater. So I've just joined into there, and I'm going to do a double crochet into that base as well, just to anchor it. And I'm just going to go in the top of a treble there, and I'm also going to go in a chain. You can go in the space, and I know I do that sometimes, but I think in this particular situation you do need to go into this stitch. I think it just makes it a little bit neater. So the top of every single stitch, whether it be a treble or whether it be a chain. So that one's a treble, that one's a chain, treble and chain. So I just keep going. Oh, look at that, I was going to be naughty then and go in the space. You can do that, and I must admit I'm guilty of doing that a lot of the time because I think it does give a bit of definition and it is easier than going in a chain. But for this particular situation I don't want to do that. I know getting in a chain can be a bit of a pain, but it's worth that perseverance. Make sure you don't miss that chain though, because otherwise you will pull it in really tight, and then she's not going to get in it at all. Don't just do the trebles. It's easy done. I know that sounds silly, but it is easy done because your eyes are just drawn to the easiest point, which is the top of the trebles. We're almost along the bottom bit there. That caught a little bit there, you have to be careful. Right, now this bit is chain. This is the chain you started with. So it's a little bit more difficult to get in. So you've got to imagine, you can see where the treble is, and that's where you've got to go. But then you've got to imagine the stitch in between. So it is in every chain, but it's just very difficult to get into it, that's all. If you do want to go in the space, please do, because it will make it easier. So I've got chain, I've got treble. Technically they are all chain, but you can see where the treble is, so use it as a way of remembering where you're going. I have to do some pictures yet. I've not done pictures of her for the thumbnail, so I must do it. And then I will get the video downloaded pretty fast, and then I need to get you a pattern typed up if you're wanting to purchase a pattern that will go alongside of it. I think I missed a chain there, so take it out. Take it out. It only takes one stitch. There we go. That's the chain, that's where the treble is. That's the chain, that's where the treble is. Almost back. Can you see we're almost there, ready to join in with the previous starting point. So this is our end, so I need one more stitch in there, and I'm just going to go into that one with my first stitch. Okay, so all we're going to do now is, because I've got this sort of like little frilly edge bit going off, we're only going to do it along this top bit, and it is nice and easy to do. Basically you're just going to do, it's like a 3-chain picot they would call it, but I'm going to make it a little bit easier than that. You're going to do 3 chain, 1, 2 and 3. We already did a double crochet, but we're going to go back into that same stitch with a double crochet. You're going to miss one, you're going to jump to the next one, we do a double crochet, you do 3 chain, 1, 2 and 3, back in the same stitch with a double crochet. We're going to miss one, into the next one, double crochet, 3 chain, 1, 2, 3, back in the same stitch with a double crochet, miss one, double crochet, 3 chain, 1, 2 and 3, back in the same stitch, miss one, double crochet, 1, 2 and 3, back in the same stitch, miss one, double crochet, 1, 2 and 3 chain, just back in the same stitch with a double crochet, miss one, double crochet, 1, 2 and 3, back in the same stitch. So I'm just going to pause there a second. So can you see what we're creating? It's creating, let me pop it down like that, can you see it better? See how it's creating these little tiny, well, they're not really scallops, are they? They're just 3 chains that are creating it. So I'm not going to continue again with that either, because basically you're just going to go all the way to there and stop. You can do the bottom bit, there's no reason why not, but I wanted it, let me grab the other one, I wanted it to look more of a collar, so that is why I only did along the top with that particular thing. So it's just 3 chain, double crochet back into the space. Now this is obviously the one I've just made, so you can see it's about the same size, but I do have to pop my cuff on this end. Well, essentially this is the one, because it is acrylic, you've got a bit of stretch there, so if you do need to sort of stretch it, if your work's a little bit tight, you can do. So let's slide this back on Mirai. Now I'm going to turn it over. Let me pop your head on the ball of the wall so it's not going to scratch anything. I'll just straighten her arms at the back, make sure my collar bit is at the top. Now, as I say, I have made the other one with a slightly wider gap for the arms. So slide it on, push it all the way on, make sure it's nice and neat. We'll flatten that collar out. Then we'll pop our arms down, make sure that's all nice and flat. Arms back round to the front, and there she is in her little shrug cardigan. I think that is, as I say, nice and simple to do. You could make quite a few. You make lots of different colours. You could have shorter arms if you want to start with less stitches, sort of like make them more like a little puff sleeve. You can also lengthen the arms if you start with more stitches. But the best thing to do is lay your doll out, make your chain and hold it from there to there if you want a long sleeve, or there to there, or there to there. You decide where you want the sleeve to sit, and that is the length of your chain. If you're adding cuff on though, don't go all the way to the end, because then you're going to add cuff on and it's going to sort of fall over the edges. But that is a look in its own right, so you might want that. So you just decide on what length, and then you do exactly the same pattern, exactly the same. So it's, let's say, very versatile. Hope you enjoyed making it. Should we pop a wig back on? This wig is really tight though, so I'm probably not going to be able to do this. So hold it on at the front. Oh, we did it. It must be loosening off a little bit. Really tight, this one, when I first popped it on her head. But her old one was starting to get really tatty. We have got the one with the braids, but I need to do some serious work on it because it was very long and it got very tangled. So I need to spend a little bit of time tidying that up. So that is our Mirai cardigan, or our Smartdoll cardigan for today. And remember, it will fit other dolls. You can follow the same system for different dolls as well. So if you do enjoy my videos, please click on the like button there. Please like, subscribe and share. Hope to be joining me soon with some more Smartdoll things, and I really do want to make a hat with this. Oh, I will be making a hat as well, I think, to match. So there should be a new Smartdoll hat pattern coming up very soon as well. So once again, thank you very much for watching. I will see you very soon, and bye-bye for now.